framework that can possibly help in bridging this and can help someone like Prerit to actually look at the issues related to placements and other things also. If you see the overall data, the evidence that is there, that the maximum contribution to manufacturing in terms of export or even in terms of GDP, role of MSME is tremendous. And most importantly, in terms of employing people. So if we have to really meet the challenge or the goal of skilling India or making it the capital of world, in terms of skill capital of the world, the current experience or the current data, the evidence suggests that it's a very distant dream. In this regard, I would like to introduce the concept of clusters, and because as we see, in terms of Skill India, if you see what Mr. Mittal was talking about in terms of convergence, Government of India has set up national, state level skill missions. And then if you see the delivery mechanism, it is as per district, block and all that. However, if you look at the labor market functions in its own way. And here what I would like to suggest is that if you closely look at the MSME sector, then largely they exist in clusters. Clusters meaning it's a geographical phenomenon which is centered around a single product or a similar product or service. Principle on which they are based is of collaboration, but as well as competition. So it gives them certain advantage to achieve, because of economies of scale. So even when it is like, even if it is like raw material suppliers or in market, it becomes easier for the back-end suppliers or even for market to deal with these firms. I think there lies the potential where the Skill India or the institutes or the ecosystem which is looking at MSME sector as potential clients, they can use this framework because in terms of development methodology, it was started by UNIDO in 1996. It started with Italy, actually. Industrial clusters had come up first there. In India, there is a MSME cluster development program. However, I don't see there is any connect with your Skill India as of now. So these clusters typically come up in form of consortium. They have a body, and these bodies can be used actually to assess the need in terms of skill, to establish that connect with the industry, and also in many ways placement, even for apprenticeship, because in India, apprenticeship is in very poor shape. So this is my kind of first proposition, because it will kind of reduce cost in many ways. The way what Prerit mentioned is reality. In terms of the issues of decent work conditions, employment terms and conditions, they are there. In many cases you can say that MSMEs do not want it, but in many cases they cannot afford it as well. So how these issues can also be dealt by clustering them, by their certain activities. For example, right now government, even in many ways, the traditional clusters like handloom and handicrafts, they are coming together to set up these common facility centers. So some of these decent work related, like Presh, he said, Make in India, because Make in India looks for promotion of manufacturing, more investments, and certainly if Make in India has to work in MSME sector, in manufacturing or even in services, it will have to come to the clusters. This is the concept of clusters even in skilling. Now, what Prerit mentioned, or what Sheena mentioned in terms of aspirational value, well, no matter what you say, there's a lot of movement going on in terms of labor movement. There's a lot of people migrating from one side to another, and you can very well identify them. Yeah, there are certain trades which are identifiable with certain area, and I see the problem what is happening in most of these skilling activities is most of the skilling is happening at the destinations or at the workplaces where these people, they don't have time, absolutely. And there are other insecurities as well. Just to give you an example, construction sector is one of the biggest sector. It's the largest absorber of manpower. And you know that there are parts of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar where villages and villages move up. Every season they come out to work in all these metro regions. Now there are clusters actually. And if skilling agencies go to their villages during the off season, so to say, or during the 3-4 months period, it actually can coincide with. They can set up centers, they can give trainings over there, very, very focused training. And so the problem of placement can in some ways be dealt with also, because these workers are already in touch with the industry, and they are also in touch with their employers, and they can, if they are better skilled, they will certainly make use of that in terms of approaching their employers in a better way, which are related to very genuine challenges, which are related to decent work conditions, conditions related to employment, quality of training. At the same time, as of now, whatever is the aspirational value with regard to the vocational training. So in this, if we kind of cluster, if we bring them together, we'll get certain advantages, and this advantage can be used to meet this mandate in a slightly better manner. And the numbers that we are talking of as of now, it will help in some ways. So in brief, this is what I have to say. Thank you.